If you've always believed that beet sugar isn't as good as cane sugar, this video might just change your mind. Every year, over 35 million tons of sugar worldwide are produced from a humble root that grows underground, the sugar beet. Despite its modest size, the sugar beet contains even more sucrose than sugarcane, making it the most sugar-rich plant on Earth. So, have you ever wondered how millions of tons of sugar are made from this simple root? The journey begins in the fields, where muddy sugar beets are harvested straight from the soil using modern machinery. From there, they're transported to high-tech processing facilities, where skilled hands and advanced technology transform these humble roots into one of the sweetest ingredients found in your kitchen. Today, Agriculture Insight is taking you behind the scenes of the global sugar beet industry, and all the secrets are about to be revealed. Let's get started. While sugarcane needs the warmth of the tropics and rich soil to survive, sugar beets thrive in the exact opposite: cold climates, poor soils, and short growing seasons. Thanks to their incredible adaptability, sugar beets have turned snowy Russia into the world's top producer, with over 45 million tons a year, while across the globe, the US follows closely behind, especially in northern states like North Dakota, Minnesota, and Michigan. However, when it comes to the art of refining sugar from beets, the crown belongs to the European Union, a region that not only produces millions of tons of sugar each year using some of the most advanced factories in the world, but also relies on sugar beets for up to 80% of its domestic sugar consumption. Beet sugar is naturally whiter, milder in taste, and easier to refine, which helps save energy and reduce environmental impact. In fact, it only takes 7 sugar beets to produce 1 kilogram of pure refined sugar, enough to sweeten your week. With trade and tariff tensions heating up, even a sweet bag of sugar in the US might now come with a few extra bitter bucks, courtesy of new policies. And to begin the journey of transforming these humble roots into sparkling white crystals, it all starts with one essential step: the harvest. In autumn, when the sugar content in the beets reaches its peak, vast fields burst to life with the roar of modern machinery, transforming once quiet farmland into a hive of harvest activity. This modern harvesting process is typically divided into 2 main stages, involving 2 specialized machines working in perfect coordination across the fields. In the first stage, a massive defoliator moves along the beet rows. The front of the machine is equipped with sharp blades designed to neatly cut off the leafy tops above ground while separating them from the root below without damaging the beets themselves. Immediately afterward, a second machine follows to collect the most valuable part, the sugar beets. This harvester is equipped with a specialized lifting mechanism. Rotating wheels and lifting arms gently dig into the soil, raise the entire root, and transfer it onto a conveyor belt integrated into the machine. On the conveyor, the beets undergo preliminary cleaning using a shaking and soil separating system, removing most of the dirt and debris from their surface before being transported to the processing factory. Thanks to the seamless coordination between these 2 advanced machines, tens of thousands of sugar beets can be harvested in just 1 hour, an impressive level of efficiency, equivalent to the manual labor of around 100 to 150 field workers toiling all day. While technology clearly boosts productivity, it also brings along certain challenges, especially the high initial investment costs and the growing risk of job loss for millions of migrant workers who have long been an essential part of the agricultural workforce. As the bustling harvest season comes to a close, truckloads of these earthy treasures begin to roll out, continuing their journey toward modern sugar processing factories. Once harvested, millions of tons of sugar beets are swiftly transported to the factory to avoid moisture loss and preserve sugar content, ready to begin their transformation into those sparkling white sugar crystals you've always wondered about. However, the sugar beets aren't sent straight into the factory just yet. Instead, they are first delivered to large collection areas near the processing site, commonly known as receiving stations or beet piles. These storage areas can span up to 10 hectares and hold as much as 100,000 tons of sugar beets at once. In cold weather conditions, the beets can even be preserved for 4 to 6 weeks without significant loss of quality. Next, the input quality inspection process begins. A mechanical arm, known as an automatic sampling probe, is lowered into the truck, reaching deep inside to collect beet samples from various points. These samples are then sent directly to the in-house laboratory, where specialists analyze key indicators such as sugar content, moisture level, and impurities. This step is essential, as it determines the value of each beet load and whether it meets the standards required for processing. After passing the initial quality check, the trucks carrying sugar beets are gathered at the raw material reception area, where the beets are unloaded into a large receiving tank to begin the washing process. The beets slide down a chute from the truck and are given an initial wash with high-pressure water to remove the dirt on their outer surface. Next, the beets are transferred to a rotary drum washer or a screw-type washer. In this equipment, the beets are continuously rotated, combined with a strong reverse flow of water, which helps to dislodge any remaining dirt, small stones, or root remnants. Some factories also install high-pressure spray nozzles inside the machine to ensure the beets are completely cleaned. Heavy impurities such as gravel and stones fall onto a stone separation conveyor, while the remaining roots and leaves are removed by a filtering mesh or scraping paddles. Sugar cane gives us sugar simply by pressing its stalks, but turning sugar beets into refined sugar is a whole different story. Once thoroughly cleaned, the sugar beets are moved to the slicing area, where they are cut into long, thin strips resembling small-sized French fries, commonly known as cassettes. This process is carried out using high-speed slicing machines equipped with serrated knives made of stainless steel. These knives rotate continuously at high speeds, cutting the beets into even, thin slices, approximately 3–5 centimeters long and just a few millimeters thick. The thin strip shape increases the surface area, which enhances the extraction process, allowing the sugar to dissolve more easily into the water in the next step. After slicing, the beet strips are placed on a conveyor belt and fed into a diffuser, where the hot water extraction process begins. Inside the diffuser, the beet slices are slowly moved either horizontally or vertically, while hot water at around 70 to 80 degrees Celsius is pumped in the opposite direction. This process, known as counter-current diffusion, allows the water to gradually absorb the sucrose from each beet slice. The entire process typically lasts 60 to 90 minutes, resulting in a solution rich in sugar, known as raw juice. It's the slicing into thin strips and the hot water diffusion process that serve as the key steps, enabling beet sugar to achieve high purity, easier refinement, and greater environmental friendliness, surpassing the traditional cane pressing method. Nothing goes to waste. After sugar extraction, the leftover beet pulp is turned into high-protein feed for livestock, while molasses is used in fermentation industries and even as a base for bioethanol production. Beet processing is a closed-loop system that balances sweetness with sustainability. On the other side of the process, the raw juice extracted from the beets still contains many impurities, so it undergoes a cleaning process called carbonation. To clean the raw juice, lime is produced by burning limestone with coke in a furnace, creating a substance known as milk of lime. This milk of lime is then gradually added to the raw juice in several stages. Next, CO2 gas is introduced into the mixture of juice and milk of lime, causing a reaction that makes the impurities precipitate, which can then be easily removed through a pressure filtration system. The result is a pale yellow solution called thin juice. However, since thin juice is still quite dilute, it is further processed in a multi-stage evaporation system, where most of the water is removed. The result is thick juice, a thick syrup containing about 60 to 70% sucrose. After being concentrated, the thick juice is transferred into a vacuum pan, where sugar begins to form in the form of crystals. In the vacuum pan, the thick syrup is gently heated in a vacuum environment, allowing the water to continue evaporating without burning the sugar. Once the solution reaches the proper concentration, tiny seed crystals are added to provide a starting point for the crystallization process. The sucrose in the thick juice gradually crystallizes around the seed crystals, forming a thick mixture known as massicwheat, a blend of sugar crystals suspended in the remaining syrup that has not fully crystallized. Once the massicwheat reaches the desired crystallization level, it is transferred to a centrifuge for the sugar to be separated. In the centrifugation stage, the massicwheat mixture, which contains sugar crystals and uncrystallized syrup, is fed into a centrifuge and spun at very high speed. The strong centrifugal force effectively separates the sugar crystals from the remaining syrup. This leftover syrup can be returned to the crystallization tanks multiple times to extract additional sugar. Once separated, the sugar crystals are transferred to a drying system. Here, a stream of hot air at approximately 65 to 70 degrees Celsius is blown through the crystals to remove any remaining moisture. This process ensures the sugar is dry, preventing mold growth and making it easier to store for long periods. After drying, the sugar is cooled in a controlled cool air environment to prevent clumping. Next, the crystals are passed through a grading screen, where they are sorted by size. This final step ensures that the sugar crystals are uniform and meet the quality standards of the finished product. The pure sugar crystals undergo quality checks for moisture, size, and purity before entering the fully automated packaging line. Thanks to the strict steps of filtration, crystallization, and centrifugation, any traces of milk of lime or CO2 used during purification are completely removed, leaving behind nothing but sparkling white sugar crystals up to 99.9% pure and perfectly safe to enjoy. In the European market, craft paper packaging is the preferred choice due to its environmental friendliness and is often prioritized for premium product segments. Large rolls of craft paper are fed into an automatic pouch-making machine, which cuts, folds, and shapes them into standard pouches weighing 1 to 2 kilograms. The sugar is then weighed and filled into each pouch. The pouches are sealed tightly using heat sealing or adhesive to ensure moisture resistance and proper storage. Sugar is not the enemy. It all comes down to how we use it. In a world flooded with billions of sugar-filled products, it's smart choices that keep sugar a joy, not a concern. So if you're looking for a sweeter, more natural, and healthier alternative, join us as we explore the magical journey of honey. Let's dive in. After about 6 to 8 weeks, when the honeycombs are covered with a thin layer of white wax, that's the signal that the honey is fully ripened and ready for harvest. At this stage, the moisture content in the honey has dropped, allowing it to be stored for a long time without fermenting. Beekeepers carefully inspect each frame, selecting the ones that are filled with honey and completely sealed with wax before beginning the harvesting process. As the early summer sun casts a golden hue over the skies of South Dakota, beekeepers know it's time for the honey harvest. The preparations kick into high gear. Dressed in protective suits, they get ready to handle the inevitable stings. A smoker helps calm the bees, while a soft brush gently sweeps them off the frames, ensuring a safe and efficient harvesting process. When the time is right, beekeepers get to work harvesting honey, a task that requires skill, patience, and attention to every little detail. They start by gently creating a thin stream of smoke using dry wood, bark, or other natural materials. This smoke is carefully blown into the hive, encouraging the bees to temporarily retreat in a natural and non-disruptive way. The smoke helps keep the bees calm, making the harvest smoother while minimizing stress on the colony. The beekeeper then carefully removes the honey-filled frames, shimmering with golden sweetness, making sure not to damage the hive's structure. This allows the bees to continue their work without major disruption. Using a soft brush, they gently sweep away any remaining bees from the honeycomb, ensuring no harm comes to them. However, beekeepers never take all the honey. A sufficient amount is always left behind to provide the colony with enough nourishment to survive the harsh winter and prepare for the next season. Once harvested, these fragrant, honey-rich frames are neatly placed into specialized containers, ready to be transported to the processing facility. There, they'll go through the final steps to become the pure, delicious honey that we all love. After leaving the farm, those full barrels of honey don't just travel by truck, they're also flown on specialized cargo planes. Up in the sky, tons of honey soar over mountains and rivers, reaching processing plants quickly while staying fresh. Thanks to high-speed transport, the honey avoids weather-related risks, ensuring the purest quality when it reaches consumers. Each flight isn't just carrying honey, it's delivering the sweet taste of nature. Even though the U.S. is known for its advanced machinery, when it comes to harvesting honey, nothing can replace human hands. Hand harvesting protects the delicate structure of the hive and ensures that honey is collected at just the right ripeness, preserving its natural aroma and nutrients. Skilled beekeepers carefully observe their colonies, spotting any health issues early to maintain a sustainable ecosystem. This isn't just a job, it's an art, where every drop of honey is the result of skill, patience, and a deep love for nature. As soon as the honey barrels leave the farm, they are transported to a specialized storage area at the factory, where the temperature is carefully maintained between 37 and 40 degrees Celsius. Here, the honey isn't just stored, it's gently warmed to reduce its viscosity, allowing it to flow more easily. This process is meticulously controlled, degree by degree, ensuring that the honey's natural aroma and valuable nutrients remain intact. This isn't just simple heating, it's an art in honey processing, preserving the essence of nature in every drop. After resting in the warm room, the honeycombs move on to the wax removal machine, where the delicate wax layer is carefully stripped away, clearing the path for the golden honey to be released. High-speed rotating blades glide smoothly over the honeycomb frames, removing the thin layer of wax without damaging the structure of the hive. But this wax doesn't go to waste. It is recycled into beeswax candles, cosmetics, or even new honeycomb frames, helping to sustain nature's cycle. Now, the honeycomb frames are ready for extraction, the moment when pure golden honey finally leaves the hive, thanks to the magic of centrifugal force. The centrifuge spins at incredibly high speeds, generating a powerful force that quickly pulls the honey out of the frames without damaging the delicate honeycomb structure. This allows beekeepers to reuse the frames, reducing material waste, protecting the environment, and optimizing production efficiency. But the process doesn't stop there. Freshly extracted honey still contains tiny impurities like bits of wax and fine dust, so it immediately goes through a coarse filtration stage before moving on to refinement. It's not just about removing impurities. Fine filtration ensures honey reaches the perfect clarity and smoothness. As the golden honey flows through specialized filters, even the tiniest wax particles are completely removed, guaranteeing absolute purity in every drop. After filtration, the honey is transferred into large storage tanks, where it is gently stirred to ensure uniform flavor and color, preparing it for the final stage of processing. Now, the precious honey is finally ready to be bottled, thanks to an automatic filling machine that operates with absolute precision. With an advanced sensor system, every drop of honey is measured accurately, ensuring that not a single drop goes to waste. This system can fill hundreds of bottles per minute, maximizing efficiency while keeping the honey in its best condition. Right after filling, the bottles move to the capping station, where each cap is securely sealed to protect the honey from air exposure and potential contamination. No bottle is complete without its label, its identity card, in the marketplace. The automatic labeling system ensures that every label is printed clearly and contains all necessary information. Once labeled, the honey bottles are packed neatly into boxes, stacked into large shipments, and are ready to be distributed across the world. But honey isn't the only star. Royal jelly, a highly prized and nutrient-rich substance, is even more valuable. So what makes royal jelly so special? Stick around and find out next. Royal jelly is the food that the queen bee eats throughout her life. A large bee colony can have between 50,000 to 80,000 bees. Only the most powerful bee, the queen bee, has the right to rule. The queen bee's main job is reproduction. She lays thousands of eggs daily at peak times. The survival of the bee colony heavily depends on the queen, because without her, the colony would not thrive. People often think royal jelly is a product secreted by the queen bee. In fact, it's not. Royal jelly is made by hard-working worker bees. It's the exclusive food for the queen bee and her larvae. Farmers intervene in the bee colony to temporarily remove the queen and place larvae in artificial cells, tricking worker bees into thinking they are nurturing the future queen, prompting them to produce royal jelly. Royal jelly production season typically lasts from spring to late summer, when flowers bloom and bees have ample food. During this time, worker bees can be active and produce royal jelly regularly. Beekeepers prepare artificial hives, special structures designed to replace natural beehives for easier harvesting of royal jelly. Each artificial hive typically includes a frame with several small cells, known as cup cells. These cells mimic the natural cells in a hive where the queen lays her eggs and raises larvae. The process starts with selecting larvae less than 3 days old from the natural hive. These larvae are then transferred to the cup cells in the artificial hive. The worker bees then begin to produce royal jelly and nourish these larvae as if preparing for a new queen's arrival. To enhance efficiency, beekeepers may use additional techniques like adding wax sheets or safe synthetic materials to shape the cup cells. These artificial cells need to be arranged to ensure optimal space for worker bees to work and produce royal jelly. Typically, each cell is spaced about 1 centimeter apart. In each artificial cell, usually only one larva is placed to ensure that worker bees focus all their resources on nurturing that larva with royal jelly. About 10 to 20 worker bees directly care for and secrete royal jelly for each larva throughout the nurturing process. Besides producing royal jelly, worker bees also have the primary task of collecting nectar. On average, worker bees can work 10 to 12 hours a day. Worker bees often fly within a range of 1.5 to 3 kilometers from their hive to collect nectar and pollen. The division of labor among worker bees in the hive is very flexible, with different bees participating in tasks such as collecting pollen, nectar, caring for the hive, and secreting royal jelly. This ensures that each larva receives a plentiful and high-quality supply of royal jelly. About 3 days after the worker bees start feeding the larvae, the royal jelly is ready for harvesting, which is when it has reached its peak quality. If left too long, the worker bees will stop secreting royal jelly, and the larvae will begin to develop into queens or mature bees. Beekeepers then remove the artificial hives from the main hive. Using specialized tools, they gently detach the larvae from each cell. These larvae are typically not used in royal jelly production. The main goal is to collect the jelly. Royal jelly is harvested directly from the cells using small tools, often tweezers. Beekeepers must handle the jelly delicately to avoid contamination or damage. Royal jelly is a slightly thick white to pale yellow liquid, depending on the quality of the bee colony. Each artificial cell usually contains about 0.1 to 0.2 grams of royal jelly. However, when harvested on a large scale from hundreds to thousands of cells, the amount of royal jelly collected can be substantial. An artificial hive can be reused about 10 to 15 times in one season. Each cycle involves removing the old larva and inserting a new one. After harvesting, royal jelly must be immediately preserved in cool conditions, refrigerated or frozen, to maintain quality during transport to the factory. After harvesting, royal jelly needs to be stored under strict conditions to ensure quality. Royal jelly is very sensitive to light and high temperatures. It oxidizes, loses color, and degrades in quality. Thus, it must be stored in opaque or dark-colored jars or containers to avoid direct light exposure. Refrigeration is the most common preservation method. Royal jelly should be kept at temperatures from 2 to 5 degrees Celsius in the refrigerator. At this temperature, royal jelly can maintain its quality for about 6 months. Freezing, to further extend its shelf life, royal jelly can be frozen at temperatures from -18 degrees Celsius to -20 degrees Celsius. When stored in the freezer, royal jelly can retain its quality for up to 1 to 2 years without degradation. Before use, it can be slowly thawed in the refrigerator to preserve its nutrients. Upon arrival at the factory, royal jelly undergoes strict quality checks. Samples are tested for color, taste, purity, and physical chemical indicators such as moisture content, protein levels, and nutrients. Microbiological testing is also crucial to ensure the royal jelly is free from contamination. Harvested royal jelly may contain impurities such as beeswax, small hive debris, or other contaminants. It is filtered through special filters to remove these impurities. After coarse filtration, royal jelly undergoes a refining stage. This may involve deeper filtration processes to achieve the highest purity, removing all impurities and harmful microorganisms. In some cases, royal jelly may be treated with low heat, pasteurization, to kill bacteria without losing essential nutrients. However, this process must be carefully controlled, as high temperatures can damage the nutrients in royal jelly. After filtration and refining, royal jelly is packaged in sterile plastic or glass containers. These containers must be vacuum sealed or airtight to prevent oxidation and preserve royal jelly in the best condition. In addition to direct packaging, royal jelly is also processed into pills and dietary supplements. First, the royal jelly is spread evenly on large trays, then put into a freezer at -20 degrees Celsius for 12 hours. At which point the royal jelly will freeze into large pieces. The royal jelly chunks are put into a grinder that turns them into powder. The royal jelly powder is then put into a press to form tablets. These tablets are packed in glass bottles of 100 tablets each. Thousands of bottles of tablets have been packaged with beautiful packaging. Finally, they are packaged into large crates, shipped ready for export to consumers around the world. Honey is nature's sweet gift, but so is the delicate flavor of pure maple syrup. The maple tree is a symbol of beauty and resilience, known for its striking autumn foliage and its role in producing maple syrup. Among the many species, the sugar maple is the most valued for syrup production due to its high sugar content. These trees can grow over 100 feet tall and live for centuries. The process of harvesting maple syrup begins in the late winter and early spring, when the weather plays a crucial role in sap production. Maple trees, particularly sugar maples, store starch in their trunks and roots throughout the winter. As temperatures begin to rise, the starch is converted into sugar, which then mixes with the tree's natural water content to create sap. The ideal weather conditions for sap collection involve temperatures above freezing during the day and below freezing at night. This fluctuation creates pressure inside the tree, causing the sap to flow more easily. Without this natural cycle, the sap would not move efficiently, making the harvest difficult. Once the right conditions are met, farmers begin the delicate process of tapping the trees. A small hole, usually about ½ an inch in diameter and 2 inches deep, is drilled into the trunk of a mature maple tree. A spout, often made of metal or plastic, is inserted into the hole, allowing the sap to flow out. Traditionally, the sap dripped into buckets hanging from the tree, which had to be collected manually. However, modern maple syrup producers use a more efficient system of interconnected tubes that transport the sap directly from the tree to a central collection tank. This method reduces labor and ensures that the sap remains clean and fresh. The amount of sap collected varies from tree to tree, but on average, a mature sugar maple produces about 40 liters of sap during the harvesting season. While this may sound like a generous amount, it takes roughly 40 liters of raw sap to produce just 1 liter of maple syrup. This is because the sap itself contains only about 2 to 3% sugar, with the rest being water. The real magic happens during the boiling process, where the water content is gradually removed to concentrate the natural sugars. After collection, the sap must be transported to the sugar shack or processing facility as quickly as possible to prevent spoilage. In the past, sap was carried in wooden or metal buckets, but today, pipelines connected to vacuum pumps allow the sap to travel more efficiently. Once at the sugar shack, the sap undergoes an initial filtration to remove any debris such as bark or insects. At this stage, the sap still looks like plain water, but its transformation is about to begin. The next and most crucial step in maple syrup production is the boiling process. The sap is poured into large evaporator pans, usually heated by wood or oil-fired furnaces. As the sap boils, the water content evaporates, leaving behind a more concentrated sugar solution. The sap needs to reach a specific temperature of approximately 219 degrees Fahrenheit, 104 degrees Celsius, to achieve the perfect consistency. Throughout this process, the syrup's color and flavor develop, with lighter colored syrup having a milder taste and darker syrup carrying a stronger, more caramelized flavor. The boiling process can take several hours, and syrup makers must closely monitor the temperature and consistency to prevent burning or over-thickening. To speed up the concentration process, some modern facilities use reverse osmosis technology before boiling. This method removes a significant portion of the water from the sap before it reaches the evaporator, reducing energy costs and increasing efficiency. While this technology is helpful, boiling remains an essential step in developing the syrup's unique taste. Once the syrup reaches the desired concentration, it is carefully filtered again to remove any remaining impurities. A common byproduct, called sugar sand, forms during the boiling process and can give the syrup a gritty texture if not properly filtered out. To achieve a smooth, high-quality syrup, producers pass it through fine filters made of felt or paper before transferring it to storage containers. After filtration, the maple syrup is ready for packaging. It is poured into sterilized bottles, cans, or jugs while still hot to ensure long-term preservation. Syrup must be bottled at a temperature of at least 185 degrees Fahrenheit, 85 degrees Celsius, to prevent contamination. Once sealed, the syrup is ready for distribution, reaching consumers around the world who enjoy it on a variety of dishes. The grading system for maple syrup classifies it based on color and flavor. The lightest syrup, known as golden, has a delicate taste and is typically harvested early in the season. Amber syrup, which is slightly darker, offers a richer flavor. Dark syrup has a strong, bold taste, while very dark syrup, the last to be collected in the season, has the most intense caramelized flavor. Each type has its unique appeal, and consumers choose based on their personal preferences. While pure maple syrup is the most well-known product derived from maple sap, there are several other delicious variations. Maple sugar is made by boiling syrup even further until all the water evaporates, leaving behind crystallized sugar. Maple butter, despite its name, contains no dairy and is made by whipping thickened syrup until it forms a creamy spread. Maple candy, another popular treat, is made by pouring hot syrup into molds where it hardens into sweet, maple-flavored pieces. Maple syrup is